Hello there everyone, and welcome to another edition of Starry Skies, the magazine programme that tells you what you can see in the night sky this month. I'm Mark Hardaker.
And I'm Steve Tonkin.
And today we're going to be looking at the stars, the planets and other celestial devices.
Devices?
Delights! Here we're off again already for the month of August. It's the heat, you know, Steve. It's baking hot here.
Oh, it is very hot in this studio, isn't it?
So I don't know about you, Steve, but August is really one of my favourite months for astronomy.
Well, yeah, because one of the reasons it's good is you don't get so cold going out.
Yeah, you don't have to wrap up like an Eskimo, as we often do for astronomy, so we can go out at midnight and still just wear our normal gear, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was out at 2 o'clock this morning just wearing shorts.
Yeah, lovely.
Just binoculars out, having a look what's up there, and it was gorgeous.
Absolutely. And this month we finally get to see the major planets returning slowly to the night sky. For months we haven't seen much of them, but now we've got Saturn and Mars and Jupiter starting to appear in the east as night progresses.
That's good.
And we also have, what about the meteor shower this month?
The peaks on the 12th, usually, of August. It's the Perseids Meteors. I think it's the second best shower of the year, but for most people it's the best because the best one occurs when it's really cold, in December. So it's a really good meteor shower. This is the one to...
So write it down. That's going to be Monday night, I think, the 12th of August. Midnight through to Tuesday morning, so that's the best time. Write it down now, put it in your diary, and we'll talk about that in a little few minutes.
Yeah. And you can see it either side of that. So
you can, we also have the summer constellations in the south as twilight fades, and we have the autumn stars rising in the east to remind us that the nights are drawing in and the winter isn't far away.
And one of my favourite clusters is coming up now before it gets dark.
We also have our constellation of the month this month, Steve.
Yeah, Aquilla. There's not a heck of a lot in Aquilla unless you have a telescope, so we'll talk about things around Aquilla that you can actually see with your naked eye or small binoculars.
So shall we start, Steve, this time? We haven't done this before, but shall we start with just a general roundup of standing outside on an August evening, shall we?
Absolutely.
So let's look to the north, and there in the north, you can't miss it, can you? The plough.
Indeed.
It's been upside down all through spring and summer, so it's been overhead and then off to the west. But now, as winter, autumn approaches, it's actually dipping down, and it's got that recognisable plough shape low in the north.
Yeah.
And then you've got next to it the brilliant star Arcturus. You can't miss Arcturus, can you?
You can't miss Arcturus because the hand of the plough, which is an arc, you just fly that arc down and it comes to Arcturus, which is a beautiful, you'll see it as a sort of yellowy orange star. Look at it in binoculars and it looks even orangery. It's a star called a red giant. It is huge.
Yes. And that's what the sun actually will turn into one day, right?
Indeed.
When we run out of hydrogen in the sun, it will billow out and become an orangey, reddy star as Arcturus. Anyway, so then direct our attention almost overhead. So this is true throughout any night in August. Look almost overhead, and you'll see a brilliant blue-white star called Vega in the constellation of Lyra, the Harp. And it's so bright because it's close, only 25 light years away. And it is actually bright, isn't it? It's really quite a bright star.
It is a very bright star, and it's one of the corners of what we call the summer triangle, which is this triangle of bright stars, which is overhead on summer nights, and you can use those stars as a sort of jumping off place to other things, including our constellation of the month.
Yeah, indeed. So the three stars, we've got Deneb, which is in the constellation of Cygnus, and you can find all these constellations on our new feature on the website, on the Forest FM site. We've put a constellation map for the month of August, so you can just check on there. And you'll see Cygnus, and you see Deneb, the star at the tail of Cygnus, and to make up the constellation, the triangle, you'll find Altair, right, down low.
It's a lovely little star. It's bright, not as bright as Vega, but it's got a star either side. I think of them as little outriders. So you've got like three stars in a row with the bright one in the middle, and the bright one in the middle is Altair.
Yeah. So just the summer triangle, Deneb, Vega, and Altair, unmistakable in the sky, south to east-south.
Southeast-ish.
But then much lower in the south, catch it while you can, close to the horizon, you'll find the zodiac constellation of Sagittarius. Now, it's a bright constellation, but it's usually so low, it's not all that easy to see. So, wait for a clear, dark evening, southern sky, and gaze at the area with your binoculars. It's magnificent. Mm-hmm. That's where the centre of the Milky Way is.
Indeed. And if you can see enough of the bright stars of Sagittarius, they form the shape of a teapot. And the Milky Way comes out of the spout like steam.
Yeah. And you can see the shape of the teapot on our monthly map. Have a look. It's there on the south. And I particularly like to see Sagittarius from a good southern viewpoint. And one of my favourite places to go is the car park at Barton-on-Sea for all those local people around here. The nearest street light is in Cherbourg in France. So when you're gazing out south from Barton, there's really no light pollution at all in that direction. Very good for south.
Indeed.
So don't forget then, when you've finished south, turn your head to the left. In other words, now you're looking towards the east. And there you can see rising the Great Square of Pegasus.
Yep.
And that is a lovely, a very obvious square. It's rising in the east as the night falls. And it's the flying horse of the Greek legend. Yep. Although we see it flying upside down from the UK, don't we?
Yes, it's it depends how you draw it, but yes, it's traditionally the traditional drawing of it. It is upside down.
Yeah.
That doesn't matter.
No, and other constellations out that direction as well. We have Perseus, obviously where the Perseid meteors come from. He was a great Greek hero who killed the Gorgon Medusa.
Whose eye is the star Algol.
That's it, the
ghoul.
Yep. And he also freed Andromeda, another constellation rising there in the east, the daughter of Queen Cassiopeia and King Cepheus, also in the sky. But more about Perseus and the meteors in a little while. So, as I said, all these constellations can be seen on our monthly sky chart. So just have a look on the Forest FM fan page, or at Fordingbridge Astronomers website, or at Wessex Astronomical Society website. All of those you can find by Googling. And we'll publish a monthly star chart there to help you find your way around. So, constellation of the month. Not really much to say about Aquilla the Eagle, apart from it is an eagle.
It's an eagle. It's in mythology, it's an eagle that Zeus sent down. Or it held Zeus's thunderbolts for him, depending on the stories you listen to.
Yeah, but we have a nice bright star there, Altair, as we said, and that's also a bright star. It's only 17 light years from the Earth. Oh. It's about double the size of our Sun, and that's why it's so bright. It's double the size and really quite close. And would you believe that Pioneer 11, the space probe Pioneer 11, which flew by Saturn way back in the 70s, is expected to pass near one of the stars in Aquila in about 4 million years. Well, we won't be around by then.
No, unfortunately.
I wonder if Forest FM will still be around then. What do you think? We'll have to have
I think
it
will have evolved. I mean, if you think of the rate at which, where was humanity 4 million years ago? It didn't exist.
Well, hopefully Forest FM will. Anyway, let's talk about the planets a bit. So we've covered there the evening sky for August. And if we look again back to the east, we will see not particularly bright, but low down in the southeast, you'll see now the beautiful ringed planet Saturn. Only it's not particularly beautiful right now, Steve, is it?
Well, the rings are sort of edge on, almost. So you can still see them.
What does that mean, edge on?
Well, if you imagine a plate or a saucer or something like that, you could hold it at any angle to you, and you can either hold it face on so you can see the whole thing, or you can look at it at the side so it's edge on, so it looks very, very thin. And because of the way Saturn is tilted and its ring system is tilted, as it goes round the Sun, at some time related to us, we can see, well, never full, but we see it sort of obliquely, so you can see the rings look quite thick. It's like looking at a plate at an angle. or sometimes, as is now, it's getting on to edge on, so you're just seeing a line across there. And you can still see the line. And it's something that baffled the early telescopic astronomers. They were trying to, because they couldn't figure out what it was. Their telescopes weren't good enough to show them that it was a ring system, and they thought initially it was little planets side by side of two little planets, one either side of Saturn.
And having seen it, so I had the telescope out a couple of days ago and pointed it at Saturn, my first view of it this season. And compared to last year, the rings are extremely thin. It looks just like someone's drawn a little line to the left and to the right of the planet. Yeah. And that's because there's not as much surface area showing, so Saturn appears much dimmer than it normally does. Yeah. It's normally quite a bright planet, but it's pretty dismal right now. But the best time to see it will be around September. It's still not. It's nice now, but it doesn't come up until midnight. Excuse me. Quick cough. And then around September, it should be perfect. It reaches opposition, which is where it's opposite the sun in the sky, in the early part of September. So next month it will be at its best. Yeah. Then we have two other planets. We've got Jupiter and we've got Mars rising in the northeast after midnight. So if you're awake around 1 on the evening of the 15th of August, take a look at the two planets, because they'll be together in the sky. Mars and Jupiter will be very close to each other. So take your binoculars, have a look. You can't miss Jupiter because it's so bright. Yep. It's such a bright object, low in the northeast. And then take your binoculars, and in the same binocular field of view, there will be Mars, which will be really quite faint, to be fair, Steve. It's not the brightest of planets yet.
No, it varies in brightness enormously. I'm saying more than any other planet.
Yeah.
It's because it's got a very, very elliptical orbit, and sometimes we pass relatively close to it, but at the moment we're a heck of a long way, so it's small. You don't expect to see a lot even in a small telescope because it's so far away.
Yeah. In a telescope right now, it's a tiny little dot.
Yeah.
But I think the opposition is, I think it's coming to opposition in January, I think. So we will see Mars getting brighter and brighter and redder all the way through the autumn, early winter time. And we'll see it really quite large in a telescope and bright. I think it's January. We'll check and come back on that, won't we? But what about, there are other companion objects in the solar system which we should be looking at, and that is not just planets and asteroids and comets, but what about meteoroids?
What's a meteoroid?
A meteoroid? Well, Steve, that's it's like grains of dust, particles like sand that are orbiting the sun, quietly doing their own merry thing until they cross the orbit of the Earth and, unfortunately for them, strike the top of our atmosphere and produce not the meteoroids, produce meteors. So, that's the difference. A meteoroid is just flying innocently through space until it hits the Earth. We see it as a meteor or a shooting star. And that's what we're going to see on the 12th of August, isn't it, Steve?
It is.
A stream of them encounters the Earth every year and produces this annual meteor shower called the Perseids. Now, to me, I think it's the best shower of the year. Steve says it's the second best, but I think it's the best because you can see it without wrapping up very, very warm. The other shower is the Geminid meteors in December, which is fantastic and produces much brighter meteors generally. But to me, the Perseids, because you can see it with friends and sitting outside and watch it during August, is great.
No, it's a very valid point, Mark. Yeah, it's very valid.
So when we say a meteor shower, does that mean like looking up into a shower and seeing thousands of meteors, Steve? What does it mean?
No, it's... this one has what's called a zenithal hourly rate of round about 120, but don't expect to see 120. To see that, you'd need perfect eyes, perfect observing conditions, and you need to be able to see the whole sky at once.
Right.
Which is impossible.
Right.
That's impossible. But you'd expect to see one every few minutes. Sometimes they come in clusters, and the one place you don't want to look is Andromeda, Perseus, where they come from, because the ones that come from that direction are coming straight at you, so they won't leave a long tail, they'll just be a flash in the sky.
Yeah.
But so look away, 30 degrees away from it. High in the sky is better because it's usually clearer, and just meet with friends, sit round, look, and you can all go wow, and everybody will find the first rule of meteor watching is the brightest meteor of the night is one that's behind you.
Yes.
And that is true for all observers, including the ones you were facing.
Exactly. But the fun way to do it is get a deck chair.
Yeah.
So you're tipped back plenty onto a nice dark sky site where you can see as much of the sky as possible. New Forest and Cranbourne Chase got plenty of dark areas. Wrap up well, because even though it's summer and it's warm, you will get chilly. And let your eyes get used to the dark. That takes normally at least 10, maybe 20 minutes to get properly used to them. And then let your eyes roam across the sky. I start for the Perseids looking south and east, because if you look directly at the Perseid constellation, as Steve said, that's where they're all coming from, and you won't see them flashing across the sky. So look south and look east, and then just let your eyes roam. Just relax and let them roam, and you'll see about a meteor every 90 seconds. One every minute sometimes, but don't think of this as a shower where it'll be pouring meteors out of the sky. That has happened in the past, but it doesn't happen with the Perseids. So anyway, you can enjoy the shower. It's really a family thing to do. I think we'll be gathering our astronomy clubs to watch. Very sociable thing to do. And if you're interested in finding out more about the Geminids, not the Geminids, the Perseids, then contact your local astronomy club, and we'll be letting you know when we're meeting and gathering to watch these meteors.
Yeah.
So, how to find us. Fordingbridge Astronomers meets every third Wednesday in the month at the Elm Tree in Hightown in Ringwood. And the Wessex Astronomical Society, where do they meet, Steve? That's at the
Allendale Centre, Harnham Road in Wimborne.
And when's that?
That is the first Tuesday of the month.
Right. And then we have the Cranbourne Chase Astronomical Club. They meet on the second Wednesday. So there is plenty of choice in the Forest FM listening area. Lots of things to do. Lots of telescopes, and if you don't know anything about astronomy, well, just come and join us. We're not there to terrify and frighten you with our knowledge. We are there to help. You can also see us. We will be at the Verwood Rustic Fair, which is on Bank Holiday Monday, which is the 26th of August this year. We have a stand. We'll have our solar telescopes. We'll have our regular telescopes. Look out for us with our branded gear that we'll be selling, actually. If you'd like to buy some Fordingbridge Astronomy gear, you can come and buy it from us. But there'll be 5 or 6 of us there. Bring your kids along. We'd be more than delighted to talk to them and tell them all about the exciting things that are in the sky. And you don't need expensive equipment. You need at least one human eye. 2's better, as Steve would always say. Mr. Binoculars. Sorry, he's now Dr. Binoculars, aren't you?
I thought you'd elevated me to Professor.
I think that's going too far. So thanks for listening. We will see you next month in September. And until then, it's goodbye from me, Mark Hardaker.
And from Steve Tonkin.
And we will see you clear skies.